Consolidated Channel 18.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 Dickinson Area Chamber of Commerce Local Candidate Forum. My name is Carter Fong. I'm the Chamber's Executive Director. I will serve as our moderator this evening, and I'm joined by Alicia Erickson of the Chamber. This evening's forum is being broadcast live on Consolidated Channel 18 with the help of our media partners at Consolidated. It's also available on their YouTube channel, and a recorded version will be available on these platforms as well. Please help me thank Trace and Steph of Consolidated, the busiest people in local show business, for being here this evening. Thank you to our live audience joining us here this evening, and if you're here in person, we'd ask that you silence your cell phone at this time. The Chamber's Government Relations Committee values healthy working relationships between our candidates for elected office and their constituents. This evening's questions to our candidates come from the volunteers on that committee. Tonight, we're featuring all who qualified to be named on the ballot for 5 different local races. We'll devote the majority of our time this evening to the contested races for Dickinson Public School Board during the 6 o'clock hour and the Dickinson City Commission in the 7 o'clock hour. We'll also briefly meet candidates for the Stark County Commission, the Dickinson Mayor's race, and the Dickinson Park Board. We'll conclude by 8:30 and we'll adhere to time limits along the way. First, the candidates for the Dickinson Public School Board. We've had a random draw to determine their seating arrangement, and that random draw ended up being alphabetical by last name. Okay. Tonight we're joined by, alphabetically, Chad Mathiasen, Brent Seeks, and David Wilkie. Seeks and Wilkie are seeking re-election to a 4-year term on the board, while Mathiasen is seeking his first term. Gentlemen, you may come forward at this time. And over the next 45 minutes, these candidates will each be given an opportunity to answer 4 to 6 questions. We will rotate the order in which they respond. I will indicate the amount of time devoted to each question, and I want them to see this. Alicia will be giving you a hand signal, 10, meaning about 10 seconds remaining to respond. And if you need a verbal cue from me after that, I'll provide it to you. But that will help us track time along the way. We have a busy evening in store. And we thank you all for being here. Question number 1, starting with Mr. Mathiasen, and you've got 1 minute to respond here. Please tell us a little about yourself, including your background, and then what motivates you to run for election for the Dickinson Public School Board.
Thank you. My name's Chad Mathiasen. I've been a resident of Dickinson since 1992 when I was 12 years old. Graduated DHS, class of 99. I currently have 4 children. One just graduated. One is a junior, one is a sophomore, and one is a second grader. I am running for school board because, number one, I think we need a fresh set of eyes and ears on the board. I went to the school board with a concern and found out that as a parent, I can't speak at a school board. And after talking with a few people, I was told, run. And that's why I'm running.
And you're here today, and that's a concise summary, and thank you for being here. We look forward to the next 45 minutes. Next, Mr. Seeks.
Yep, my name is Brent Seeks. I've been a resident of North Dakota since 2001. I came here to run Badlands Ministries, the Bible Camp south of Medora, and that's my full-time profession. I've been blessed to be on the school board for 8 years. I've really enjoyed my time doing that. I have 2 children currently in the school district. I have a son who will be a senior next year and a daughter who will be a sophomore. I felt like it was a good match for my gifts that I have to serve on the board. I've really relished the opportunity, and I've done it because I care about the students in our district, and I care about student outcomes. And while we've done great work towards that end, I feel like we still have more work to do, and I believe the gifts that I have are suited for this.
Thank you for your perspective as well. Thank you for being here. And Mr. Wilkie.
My name is Dave Wilkie. I moved here in 1974. I've been a product of Dickinson Public Schools, Dickinson State University. I have a master's degree in business education, in business, just business. I've been in the police department for 25 years. I've served as a captain and I currently serve as a detective with the department. I have two boys that have graduated from the Dickinson Public School System, and my wife currently teaches in the district. I joined as a school board member to serve my community, since that is something I've been doing for the last 25 years, serve it in a different method by giving my time and my efforts towards improving the education for our children.
I'm a Dickinson High grad, class of 2002. Mrs. Wilkie, nice to see you here today. And we'll move forward. I want us to understand the rotation here. Mr. Seeks will get the next question, 2 minutes to respond. We always then go clockwise. So Seeks, Wilkie, Mathiasen. Wilkie gets the third question and on from there. Okay, question number 2. Starting with Mr. Seeks, and with 2 minutes to respond, we know that the Dickinson Public Schools are morally and legally obligated to meet the needs of all students, including special education and English as a second language. Knowing that, what more can be done to recruit and retain high-performing teachers and paraprofessionals, including in these specialized areas?
Yeah, I think it really starts with the culture of your school district, and I think that also starts with the leadership in your school district. And so I'm very proud of our current superintendent, Dr. Marcus Luton, and I think that was a great step in the right direction, and having someone who understands our community and cares about the kids and staff and the whole bit. And so that's a key piece, because if you don't have good leadership and you don't have good culture, then it's really hard to keep and maintain good teachers and staff and really everyone who makes up Dickinson Public Schools. And so that's, I think, the biggest piece is keeping that culture, and then making sure that people have an opportunity to be heard and listened to. I think we've done a lot over the last few years to have leadership teams in the schools, so it's very locally controlled, and things are done on that end, and I think that's helpful in terms of building that culture and making Dickinson Public Schools the place that people want to work. And like I said, I'm proud of the work we've done. I know we still have some work to do, and I'd like another opportunity to keep us in that direction.
Thank you for that. Mr. Wilkie, on the topic of recruiting and retaining faculty and staff.
I think one of the most important things that our school board has done is we gave our superintendent the opportunity to hire at any time that there was an opportunity to hire. I think if you look at the districts around the area, you'll find out that even as of today, as we congratulated teachers who retired last week, we are still looking at a district that has a great number of teachers in it, and new teachers that are going to be coming into it this next year. So we're always looking ahead, trying to fill the positions that we know we're going to need. The English learning that's a hard position to fill, but we're looking all the time, and because of the fact that we gave our superintendent the opportunity to hire when the position comes open, or when the opportunity is there, is, I think, probably one of the strongest moves that we made as a board.
Okay, thank you for that. Mr. Mathiasen.
As far as retaining teachers, keeping teachers, I'm not sure where we stand as far as occupancy and empty spots, whatnot. I do have a little insight. My wife also works in the school district. She's a librarian over at Berg. I'm not sure if we do have translators in the schools, but I do know that some teachers are left to using Google Translate to try and communicate with some of our students. I think going the route of closing the gap of communication between our teachers and the students that use English as a second language could be helpful, but we need something there. I'm not sure if we do again, under the assumption that just heard. Retaining teachers or keeping teachers, I think it would be beneficial to try and get our teachers away from having to be mental health professionals in the classroom. I think we could do more as a school board to help the schools better handle situations they are not trained for. I do believe that if a teacher shows up, gets hired, and has to deal with some of that stuff, they might choose to leave and go to a school that actually has disciplinary protocols, we'll put it. I think the mental health in our classrooms is a big problem for our teachers, and whether or not we keep them or get new ones.
Yeah, no question. It's a hot topic. Thank you for your perspectives on that question. We will go to Mr. Wilkie. First opportunity at the next question with 2 minutes to respond. We know that Dickinson's largest class sizes are in the youngest grades. I believe that trend is expected to continue. And of course, the district's buildings will continue to age. What should be done to prepare for and accommodate increasing enrollment in the district?
Well, we started those conversations back before COVID. The trends were there with, even after oil left, the trends were still showing that live births were going up, and that we were going to be looking at the possibility of having to build a new elementary school probably by I think our estimate was 2017 or 2018. With COVID, that slowed things down a little bit, and it actually gave us a little breathing room, but we're still talking about it. We've talked about the possibility of opening a kindergarten center. We've talked about the possibilities of making one school the kindergarten place where all the kids go. I think what it's going to come down to is at some point this community is going to need to realize that there may be a possibility that we're going to have to build another grade school to accommodate all the children that are going to be coming into it. Part of the reason that we looked at improving the high school, not only because of it was a lot of things were getting run down in it, is because we're also looking at those grade school kids are someday going to be high school kids. So to increase the spaces that we have available for that children is very important, and it is a conversation that we've had on multiple occasions and continue to have.
Okay. Mr. Mathiasen, preparing for enrollment trends.
I'm not particularly sure. I do agree more schools are going to be needed. I hope more schools are going to be needed, because if not, that means we're losing kids, we're losing citizens. I don't see that happening. I see Dickinson growing, therefore our classrooms are going to grow too. I have a second grader who complains to me that her class is already too big. It's hard for her to get the attention of the teacher, again, when the teacher's attention is being used for things that aren't education. I don't know what our school's conditions are in, but I'm glad that we passed the bond referendum to fix our schools. The high school is needed. The high school needed fixed when I was there, and now, yeah, it seems like a while ago now. But again, I'm glad that Dr. Luton pushed and got the communication out to the community to help get that passed. Personally, I was against it until I heard him talk. Just as a citizen who doesn't want to pay more taxes, but then being explained why. I agree. And the school board meetings that I've been to over the last year and just talking with some of the administrators since announcing my candidacy, I've realized that we are going to have to build. One new school in the elementary system isn't good enough. I fully agree with, I would like to see a full new school of just pre-K. Personally, we've got pre-K in the public school systems. It's at Hagen, but Hagen's building is being taken up by a whole bunch of other people. And thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seeks.
I'll just add that one of the things I think the district's done well is, as Mr. Wilkie alluded to, is plan and look ahead and hire companies that help us do projections and look at numbers. And the good news is growth is a good thing. We all want growth. We want more students. That's helpful to a district. I appreciate that we've been creative in dealing with that. We did a referendum, I think it was in 2019, and that referendum failed. But what was really great is that there was a lot of community input in terms of what needed to change for that to pass. And there's a lot of really great suggestions about having 0-hour classes, so classes before first period, doing more with Dickinson State University, so we started having more classes over there, just a better utilization of space and online and things of that nature. And so I'm proud that we kind of pivoted and really incorporated a lot of those things, and that allowed us to buy some more of that time that Mr. Wilkie said until, thankfully, the referendum passed for another high school. I think in the way of forward thinking, we talk about the possibility of another elementary school. That seems to be very likely. It's also, in terms of that good planning, one of our schools, Heart River, when we updated the HVAC systems and those kinds of things, it was done that it could sustain what's called 4 sections. So right now it's a 2-section school, so if needed, that school could be expanded to be a 4-section school. So that's another alternative possibility that could happen in the near future if expansion warranted it. So again, growth is a much better challenge to deal with than declining numbers. But I think, again, what we do know is funds are difficult to come by, they're tight, you're using taxpayer dollars, of course, in large part for this, and it's important to be good stewards of that, and the planning is key.
Yep. To Superintendent Luden's credit, he got in front of more than 50 community groups regarding that high school issue. One of them was a chamber breakfast. We're back to Mr. Mathiasen. First opportunity at this question, 2 minutes to respond. As a school board member, how can you encourage effective parental involvement in your child's education? For example, avoiding the extremes. On one end, the public schools put on a state of the district informational event. It was lightly attended. On the other end, I think we want to avoid helicopter parenting also. So how do you strike the balance and encourage effective, appropriate parental involvement?
I'll admit the parental involvement, I think, is very minimal until the parent sees a problem. That's when a parent gets involved, and it's not just a helicopter parent event. It's a my kid didn't do it event. I'm not sure what to do about gaining more involvement from the parents. I've attended as much as I can of my kids' events. I've recently started attending other events. I took my daughter to the fun day, the family fun day recently, and I guess I was glad at the amount of people I did see there, but at the same time disappointed with the amount of people that I saw there. I just went to my daughter's history. The high school just did a whole school history museum today, and there just wasn't a lot of parents. Now, granted, it's during the day, but parent involvement, again, I see only comes when the parent sees a problem. That's if they see a problem. That's why I'm here. I noticed a problem a couple years ago. I brought it to the school board, and I did it to the best of my ability, but found out that when it comes to a parent having a problem, they've got no say. They can go to the principal, they can go to the superintendent, but you cannot go to the school board. And so, again, I'll give Dr. Luton a great big thanks for helping me out with the situation that I came to the school board with last year. But when a parent feels that they don't have any say beyond the superintendent, I don't see where parents feel that they need to care until something happens.
Okay. Mr. Seeks, parental involvement.
Yeah, I think that's obviously critical. I mean, schools have taken on so much more responsibility since the 50s when it was just educating, that's it. And schools, by a large part, out of necessity, have to take care of a lot of things. I think part of the first thing I think is important is to set higher expectations, perhaps, and I think that's something our district can communicate, is opportunities and expectations that we, not only do we hope and want parents, but we need parents to step up and do more and kind of maybe explain a bit more what that looks like. One of the things I'm proud of lately, we have our district has, the school board and the district has set some simple goals that are really critical for the success of our kids. The simple goal in third grade, it's that the kids hit the reading level for third grade. It's eighth grade math, which is critical. If you get behind in math in eighth grade, you're going to have a heck of a time in high school. And then the last piece is choice ready, that our kids are prepared to make a choice, whether that's military, whether that's trade, whether that's college. And so having those simple goals and communicating those goals of what we have there was this thing that went out in the mail, the annual report, and it kind of lists those goals and it shows where we are now, where we want to be. But I hope we can get parents and community members to grab onto those goals and accept those goals and get excited about those goals and help all of us reach those goals. Because if we can hit those goals, that makes our schools better and that's going to make our community better.
Okay, Mr. Wilkie.
Our schools do give our parents opportunities to be part of their students' lives. All of our grade schools have a open forum that involves the teacher sending reports through emails to the parents. We have PACs that help support school functions and do fundraising for the school. We also have parent-teacher conferences. Part of the problem is, though, that you see the same people. It's the same people that show up for parent-teacher conferences. And it's understandable because most of us work an 8-hour day. And most of us work hard for our money, and most of us have almost no time to ourselves. I think the most important thing that we do, though, as a district, is that we do send out those mailing letters every month. We send out the letters. We have an open website, so the parents can go, the grandparents can go to our website and see the great things that their students are doing, and also the parents can get a up-to-date, up-to-the-minute picture of how their students are doing through Dojo or some of the other electronic means that we have, that the teachers are required and fill out on a regular basis.
Mr. Wardner, Dojo is an app on your phone to track your students, okay? I always pick on him. It's not fair. Over to Mr. Seeks, your turn. Yeah, okay. 2 minutes to respond to the next question. It's digging deeper on student achievement. Where is the district at on student achievement goals right now? How can you improve? And how do you know that your improvement is directed toward the needs of our region in Western North Dakota?
Sure. I was going to cheat and open the annual report and give you real specific things, but anybody can look in that and see that we're not where we want to be with our goals. And so part of it, I think, my time on the school board, I feel like we've had a lot to do, which is great. And part of that is setting up really the systems of the district and the culture of the district and trying to get things. You have to have the right leadership and the right things in place and great staff and all those things. And I believe we're there. And so that allowed us really to go to the next step, which is to tackle some hard goals. And so that third grade reading goal and that eighth grade math and that choice ready sounds like it should be pretty easy, but it's not, because it's not just Dickinson that maybe not is where we are. That's statewide, that's nationwide. And COVID did not do any school districts any favors with that setup, which I am, as a side note, proud that the way our district handled that and had one-to-one technology already. So I think we did much better than a lot of other districts. But we're not where we want to be. And so you can look in the annual report, which I'm glad, so anybody in the public can see where we're at, where the goals are, and how we're going to get there. We now devote time to every single board meeting to have a report back with respect to those goals. We have administrators come in from the buildings. They talk about where we're at. You know, we just did another round of the NWA testing, and so that gives you an opportunity to kind of see where you are with those benchmarks. And honestly, sometimes we're going to not be where we want to be again. And so that gives a chance to now look at that data for our superintendent to come with recommendations. And as a district, we all have ownership in this. How are we going to get better at those things? And how are we going to fix those things that we need to fix? So if you don't have goals and you don't have the data to track it, then it's really hard to track and know how you're doing as a district and improve. We now have that, and I think that's the first big step.
Okay. Mr. Wilkie, student achievement.
I agree with Mr. Seeks. I think one of the factors in our student achievement not being exactly where we want it to be right now is the fact that most of the stuff that we implemented is fairly new. And we're all learning it together. And until we get it to be a smooth running machine, I don't think we're going to get to the point where we want to be until that happens. We've done some things, though, that have really improved student outcome. For instance, our CTE Center. There are kids now that are not college ready, and they never will be. But they're going to leave the CTE Center with a certificate in welding, which is going to allow them to go straight out into the oil field and make probably more money than I make starting out. We have programs at the CTE Center that are going to allow kids to be diesel mechanics, allow them to do internships at dealerships where they're going to be certified mechanics probably by the time they're 21 years old. So we are working very diligently and succeeding in making a lot of kids world ready when they walk out of our schools. Now, do we have room for improvement? Yes, and I don't think you'll find a district in this country that doesn't have room for improvement. But the fact of it is we are continually trying to improve. We are not sitting on our laurels and just accepting the way things are.
Okay. Mr. Mathiasen, student achievement.
First off, I want to congratulate the current school board members and the Dickinson Public Schools for creating a school system that I didn't have back in the late 90s. The Technical Center, along with the work-based learning programs. I just recently found out about the work-based learning programs, and I want to first thank all the businesses who partake in that. As far as student ready, Mr. Wilkie mentioned they did just bring in some new curriculum, some Common Core knowledge, language, and arts, which, according to their statistics, is better than the North Dakota standard. We graded a D in language and arts and a C in math, according to the Common Core standard. It is new. We'll see if it works, but I've recently started showing people a piece of homework my kindergartner brought home for me. And when we talk about whether or not our kids are ready, my kindergartner brings home a sheet, and I'll describe it to you. It's got dice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And right next to the dice is the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're told to practice writing their numbers. My 6-year-old brings this to me as take-home homework. How that got past the editor, how it got past the publisher, how that got past my child's kindergarten teacher and on her desk. I will say our teachers' attentions are being taken up by entering data. I don't know how many data points the teachers have to enter per day, but I get the dojo, I get the power school. I get the notifications as soon as my daughter hands something in. The readiness extends to deeper into the classroom. Thank you.
And that'll be your time, although the next question does come back to you. So here we go. You get to tell your friendly moderator, each of you, for the next 2 minutes, what I forgot and should have already asked you about. The question reads, for the next 2 minutes, please respond to the following. What's something I have not already asked of you that would be a high priority for you if you were to be elected to the school board?
Something that you haven't asked me was, I don't know, but a high priority for me on the school board will be, for one, to try and get a hold of the behavior issues in our classrooms. I think everybody can agree that that is a problem. Our teachers shouldn't have to put up with it. I don't know personally what to do about it, but to simply ask the kids to stop 5 days a week, however many weeks a year. These teachers shouldn't have to put up with it. I don't know what our expulsion rates or our suspension rates are, but when a kid has to get violent before something is actually considered for suspension or expulsion. That's beyond it. My second grader has been kicked I don't know how many times in the classroom by the same kid. Well, kids will be kids, they say. Well, yeah, they will, but those kids I don't think become productive members of society. To use the term kids will be kids is just to condone the behavior of kids. But I would have to say, not asking about the behavior problems in the school or what can be done as far as giving our teachers a little bit of tools. Call an SRO. Some teachers aren't allowed to call the SROs. They have to get a permission to call an SRO. Well, when you've got a kid threatening another kid's life, there doesn't need to be a mediator between that teacher and the SRO.
Thank you for your perspective. 2 minutes, Mr. Seeks. Other topics important to you on the school board?
Yeah, I think one of the things is, I mentioned, not to keep reiterating this, but the goals are really important to me. I felt like it's taken us a lot of time to get to this point where we can really make some progress in those, and I'm really excited about that. I'm very optimistic about that, and that includes ATCE test scores too. That's something again, I know that there's more to learning than the scores in those things, but they're still important, especially from that choice-ready category in universities and so forth. So I'm looking forward to seeing growth in those goals. That's a highlight and important. I'm also, because I'm on the school board, I get to serve on the Southwest Area Career Tech Center board, and I'm the chair of that board. And I feel like we're really just getting started there. I'm very excited. I think all of us have talked about the value of that. And Building A is there with the health sciences. Building B has been utilized this year for welding and culinary arts and heavy diesel, so many things. And then Building C is going to come online with textiles and construction and agriculture and some really great things. So I think that's wonderful for our district and our area, and that's something I'm very excited about.
Good. Mr. Wilkie, topics important to you?
Mental health is important to me. Discipline is important to me. The culture of the school is important. Community culture is important. All of them get addressed separately. All of them kind of need to be addressed by the public, not actually by the school board. The school board is a monitor or an acceptor or a receptor of the community's opinions. And for the school board doesn't come up with rules, regulations. The school board doesn't come up with disciplinary ideas, mental health ideas. The school board supports our administrators who make those decisions, and we determine if they are what our constituents want for our community. So I believe that we really need to look at more mental health issues, but finding mental health caretakers these days is extremely difficult.
Got it.
Getting licensed from an out-of-state, having an out-of-state license coming in North Dakota is almost an impossible task to get relicensed within a 2-year period. Those are some of the things that we face when we're looking at mental health people coming into our district. And of course, the discipline, we always support any kind of suggestions that have basis and have data that supports those techniques.
Got it. Previously, I may have scrambled my order, but you all got an opportunity at the question, and you'll each get 1 more minute. It's your closing remarks. We're playing fill in the blank. A Dickinson Public School District resident should vote for you for school board because, and we'll go Wilkie, Mathiasen, Seeks in that order, and that'll be our program. Okay? Closing remarks, Mr. Wilkie.
Well, I guess I would ask you to vote for me because, number one, my experience. We have a very cohesive board. Whether you think things need to be looked at with new eyes or not, sometimes the cohesiveness and the way that a board works together is really what makes the board efficient. We have worked in, I think in all cases, we've been together at the very least 4 years with our newest person, and 8 years between most of us. We understand how this board works, and we also understand what our roles are in this board. And so I would say vote for Wilkie because he's been doing this, and he understands the way the board works.
Mr. Mathias.
First off, I want to thank both you gentlemen for your dedication to the city of Dickinson, especially Mr. Wilkie. I've known you've given a lot to the city, especially I want to thank you for your service. I want you to vote for Chad Mathiasen because the same old isn't the best policy. I don't think that the school board is aware of certain things in our school district because either they're not allowed to or they don't want to hear about the things. Again, I have been trying to contact the school board for a year. I started a year ago, tried to speak at the school board, wasn't allowed to speak at the school board. Got help from Dr. Luton. He was very, very helpful. But I will say, I've been to 90% of the school board meetings in the last year, and I have yet to have any of the school board members come up to me since that incident a year ago and ask what my thing was. I still have yet to hear from any of them. Thank you.
You've been given a voice tonight, and thank you for that. Mr. Seeks.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Mathiasen. I know it's a willingness to serve is a wonderful thing, and you being at the board meetings, that expressed a lot of interest on your part, and I just appreciate anyone in our community who's willing to serve and help and make things better, so thank you as well. I hope folks vote for me because I'm experienced as well. I care passionately about kids. I feel like I bring a lot of experience to the table, and I've been active in the community in a lot of ways, from coaching baseball or serving on the Dickinson backpack program and best friends mentoring and all these things. So I love our community, and I love to represent the people in our community, and I love to do what I can for Dickinson Public Schools, and I love that opportunity to serve you all again.
One of the things I'm grateful for tonight is every single individual whose name is on the ballot got a call from the chamber and all said yes to being here tonight. Let's acknowledge and thank our 3 school board candidates for being here. And at this time, I'm calling on my trusty assistant, Alicia, to help us trade places here. We'll have you 3 exit, and we will seat the 3 current Stark County commissioners in alphabetical order, left to right. It goes Franchuk, Marsh, and Messer. You're on deck. This evening, we are joined by 3 current Stark County commissioners. Alphabetically, again by last name, we have the Stark County Commission Chairman, Dean Franchuk of District 3, followed by Commissioner Bernie Marsh of District 1, and the Commission's Vice Chairman, Neil Messer of District 5. Gentlemen, welcome. We will be brief this evening as you're all running uncontested on the ballot, but we're going to begin by giving you a minute to respond, and we will always go left to right, or the way I'm looking at it, or alphabetical order. With 1 minute to respond, starting with Dean Franchuk, please tell us a bit about yourself, including your background, and what motivates you to run for another term.
Okay, my name is Dean Franchuk. I'm in my 8th year as this county commissioner here. Before that, I was in law enforcement. I have 33 years of law enforcement experience. I was a state trooper for over 28 years, and I was on the sheriff's department for 5.5 years and served as chief deputy at part of that term there. And between that, I had also, after retiring from the patrol, I worked in the oil field somewhat too as a safety coordinator at one time, and then also promoted to an operational manager for a service company in the oil field, and did some retail sales after retiring from patrol. And I lived in Dickinson my whole life. I've been in Dickinson pretty much my whole life, other than probably about 10 years in college, and right out of college before coming back again to Dickinson. I loved Dickinson, and I grew up there, and I really wanted to serve and commit to the community, serving to the community, because I love the city here and the county.
Thank you. And a reminder that your signal from Alicia is about 10 seconds to wrap up your answer. Mr. Marsh, remind us who you are and why you're running.
My name is Bernie Marsh. I've been a Stark County resident my whole life. Grew up on a little dairy farm. ranch northwest of town, so I've got some background in agriculture and in business because I've had the Esquire Club since downtown since 1987, so that's been quite a run. Been married since 78, got 8 kids, 15 grandkids, so that's that part of the story. When I ran for commission the first time, I didn't think I was going to run again. I figured I'd be 70 years old, it's time to quit, but I just turned 70, and I believe that the first year and a half, you really are not that productive, and you're taking away time from the department heads and everybody else that's trying to get you on board and get you going in the right direction. And so now that I've had my 4 years, I really believe that I can be productive. Instead of getting somebody new in there and then going through the same thing, I can be productive to the county.
You bet. Happy birthday, Mr. Marsh.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Neil.
Neil Messer. I'm currently a Stark County Commissioner, born and raised in the Richardson area on a farm south of Richardson, of which I currently still operate. Came up to Dickinson State University in 1976, graduated from Dickinson State, immediately got into the real estate business, of which we do real estate sales, real estate property management, and construction. I too married 3 daughters, and as I like to say, 3 spoiled grandchildren. Currently have served as a county commissioner since 2020. First of all, it's great to be in a room where there's people, because the last time we did this, if you remember, Bernie, we were all in our basements post-COVID. I thought I was like Biden running for president, in the dungeon. So this is exciting. I'm glad to see people here, and I'm glad that everybody showed up tonight just to at least listen to what we had.
Yeah, I know your family, and your oldest daughter, Brooke, was my Jefferson Elementary School classmate, so know you very well. Continuing in the same order, for 2 minutes, simple version of this question would be, what keeps you up at night? What are the concerns that you have as a county commissioner, the things that are taking a great deal of your time and attention? We're going to get to optimism next, but what keeps you up at night?
Probably the biggest thing is trying to, the budget, keeping it, budgeted within limits into what we have available for us, and then, don't want to increase taxes. And we tried to, since I've been on the 8 years, we've been very minimal on raising any taxes. We want to make that, important. And then, it's just the keeping, trying to get the county in good shape, keeping it a safe place to live, through, I have the portfolio for the sheriff's department and with our road department. That's probably the costliest, to try to keep our roads really safe and, for us to travel on. And I guess, I was originally, when I was the sheriff's department, started a truck enforcement program then to try to keep, our roads where we just keep heavy loads off, and so they don't damage our roadways and keep them safe to travel on there. And I guess that I want to make sure that stays in effect, and we keep on top of that. Plus, also then I'd like to have development for the county to come into the county for expansion for the existing businesses to try to help them out, and we work well with Stark Development and Roosevelt Custer Regional Council in that regard, and also then keeping our employees happy and the quality of life so that we can keep good employees so they serve the county employees well.
That's a good list. Okay, on to Mr. Marsh.
For the most part, our county runs very well, very smooth. We've got a lot of good department heads. And so, other than, budget and some things, I really don't lose a lot of sleep because department heads all make us look very, very good. The one thing that maybe I need to worry about, maybe I don't need to worry about, and it's not for discussion, but something that I wonder is if the property tax passes, how is it going to affect the way we run our county? And everybody's got their own opinion on it. Like I said, it's not a place for debate, but I do believe that there will be a different way of governing, and that's one of my things that I think about a lot.
I would say, I would echo what Bernie said. As far as the county goes, right now I think I sleep pretty good at night. I think we've restored a level of civility as to how we operate, how we function. But if something does keep me up at night, it definitely is the property tax measure. because it will drastically, if good or bad, if it passes, it will drastically change the relationship between political subs and the state. And there will be a challenge of all smaller political subs how to continue to generate the level of service that they currently do. I mean, that's unmistaken. So it's going to be really up to the electorate of which level of service they want, and we as their elected representatives have to do with what they elect us to do. I agree on the budget side. The first year budget when we came in 2020 was 6.7 million on the general fund. We've lowered that to 5.5 million. So we've worked hard to curb costs and maintain a level of service while reducing the tax liability. So I agree the budget is always number one, and I agree that we have a good good department heads that help us run our county. So.
You bet. We get to explore the other side of the coin, reasons to be optimistic. What makes you optimistic for the future of Stark County in western North Dakota?
Probably the biggest thing is there's a lot of things that are being planned here to expand. We've got a lot of new projects coming in. There's some companies that are looking at us to expand in this area and stuff, and I just feel that we've got influx of people. There's a big need for employees, and everybody wants to hire more employees. So this is just a good thing to be going on, and I'm just looking forward to, I guess, good moving forward with that, and then making sure that we get the people here to move in there and stay here. So, and the good quality of life is what big. I know the city is doing a lot of things to have better the quality of life. We have this presidential library that's coming. That's going to bring a lot of people to this area, and we're going to have to, figure out some ways to get there to take care of people when they're in visiting and so they're wanting to come back here again.
Yeah, and some of those folks who are new to the community stop in at the chamber, and we make sure they meet Alicia first because she's very welcoming and loves visiting with those new folks. Okay, Mr. Marsh, optimism.
Optimism. One of the most exciting things to me that's happened, I mean, we've got a great area down on the south side with their fairgrounds, but that's not the thing that I find so exciting. It's our CTE that I just find totally exciting. I'm so glad I could have been on the county when it started and we got to help it, financially and get it going. And there's so much chances for young people to experiment in whatever ideas that they have that they might like to have a livelihood. I'm jealous that I never had that type of opportunity. So the optimism is the CTE, and it's bringing in education, and people can graduate and they can get jobs right here and help build this community.
Okay, Mr. Messer.
Well, I think that our local leadership on many levels has been pretty consistent in trying to establish a taxation climate, a business climate that allows business to succeed. And when businesses look at our area, Dean mentioned some of the companies that are looking at coming in. We don't lose a lot of those companies if we check the correct boxes. They like to come to our area because we provide great things for them. The group that was on the table before us was the school board, and I think bar none, whether it's the private schools, the public schools, Dickinson State University, the private, the homeschooling system, we're second to none, guys. Anybody who has relatives out of state, know that the delivery of the education system here is top notch. And when our kids graduate and get into the workforce, whether it's through the tech side or the university side, they have all kinds of opportunity to deliver. So, thank you.
Okay. I might have cut you a little short there. We'll give you extra time, but this is the last question to each of you. Is there an issue where you are getting lots of input, your inbox is full, you hear from your constituents often? And is there an issue where it's important, but you hear very little from your constituents and you wish you were hearing more or people were paying closer attention? On either of those topics, each of you get maximum 2 minutes. Where are you hearing a lot from your constituents? Where do you wish you heard more?
I guess there's nothing that I'm really hearing a lot from. I guess I'd have to say, there's people that show their concerns on, but the one thing I guess that I'm not hearing is that we're in the process of a comprehensive plan right now, and I would like to have more input for the people now, because I don't want the people after we finalize it and then to come forward there and it's too late for it. I'd like to have the input now as we're working with it, because we're in the process of probably finalizing it this summer or early this fall. So I would like more input on that comprehensive plan then.
Yeah, and I was invited to be part of that process, and I attended one of the public sessions open to the public. It was pretty lightly attended. We at the Chamber will do what we can to communicate out those opportunities the rest of the way for the county. Okay, where are you hearing a lot? Where are you hearing not so much from your constituents?
I don't hear anything negative, which to me is hearing a lot of positive, And so I think for the most part, like I said, I think we work well as a county commission, and we do work well as the commission that we have. There used to be a little negative aspect to the county, but I mean, we're running really well. But in the same respect, if you're going to have a commission, you have to have some disagreement and discussion and debate. So I think we really fit that really well as a commission. Other than that, the city and the county are two different types of government, but whenever we have a chance to work with the city, I find it very exciting that if we can somehow hold hands in some projects, which there's some things we're working on now, I find that positive. But other than that, from the people, I very seldom hear anything negative, and so I look at that as a positive.
Okay. Mr. Masser.
Well, I think I would echo that probably the phone rings off the hook typically in December, because they get their tax statements in mail. And because they're mailed from the county, they think we control, a lot of people think we control all segments of that. And I'll be honest with you, I love those phone calls, and people are really good about listening and engaging, and those are all very rewarding phone calls. I think areas that we can also, there's misconceptions that every time somebody, gets in government, they spend like drunken sailors. And I think when people find out, engage, and really do the homework, they find out that we really work hard to get bang for the buck. I'm in that arena very hard as much. I think, again, lately, once you get past December and you get into February, then the assessing letters go out and everybody gets excited about the change in assessment, think that automatically changes their tax. It does not. But the assessment process has to be changed on how that's done, and that's driven from the state level, State Board of Equalization. I'm working hard to try to get engaged in that so we can work with them to better be more realistic in how these evaluations are done. So, no, I tell people that being a county commissioner has been probably some of the most rewarding and at the same time most frustrating things I've ever done in my 44 years in business. So, yeah.
Yeah, I very purposely ended, for the sake of our audience, with areas where you might like more input. So now you've got some ideas, and we'll end on that note. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please acknowledge and thank our 3 candidates running for county commission.
So I just wanted, because I sit on a desk like this at the courthouse, and now I can get to know how President Decker feels when he sits over here.
Okay. And as we transition to 4 candidates for the Dickinson City Commission here, we're going to share a laugh. The Chamber misspelled one of their 4 names, and I'm not telling you which one, but we won't put name tags in front of them, but we do know where they're going to sit. I believe it goes Oderman, Kluver, Riddle, and Iltz. Gentlemen, please come forward. Candidates for Dickinson City Commission. We are. We're now joined by candidates for the Dickinson City Commission. In this case, their seating arrangement has been assigned by random draw. We have rotated. We will rotate who gets the first question. We have John Oderman running for re-election, and we have potentially new to the City Commission, Dean Kluver, Joe Riddle, and Rob Iltz. We start with Mr. Oderman with 1 minute to respond. Please tell us a little about yourself, including your background and what motivates you to run for re-election to the Dickinson City Commission.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you to the Chamber and for Consolidated for putting on this great event, giving us an opportunity to introduce ourselves, or in my case, reintroduce myself to the community. John Oderman. I grew up north of Belfield on a ranch. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. If you see somebody in town that looks exactly like me and he's rude, that's my twin brother, Jacob. So that's what I tell our new employees at the hospital, and I think it's important for you to know that there's somebody out there that looks just like me. So I live here in Dickinson with my beautiful wife and our 3 beautiful children. We have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 18-month-old. And I am running for re-election because I love this community, and I love my wife and I love my kids, and I want them to have a great community to grow up in and to live in. And I want this community to be a community that my kids want to come back in and live in, just like I did when I was done with college. Thank you.
Okay. Dean Kluver, who are you and why are you running?
Well, as many of you already know, I'm Dean Jr. of Dean Kluver and Son Painting. I'm the son to Dean Sr. and my mother, Maria, who's here in the crowd. Father to 2 beautiful children, Julian and Celine, and husband to my wife, Laura, who's also back here. Came out here in 2016 out of a bet that I lost with my father. All started from keeping your word. And through that, I've grown in the community. I've worked for most of you I've actually seen in the crowd. And I've walked through all aspects of life here in Dickinson. I've worked for Southside, I've worked through the hospital, I've worked through the school district, I've worked for everybody out here and seen through thoroughly the infrastructure that we have here. And with that, in this position that we're seeking of it, I've been called upon through you guys to serve. For me, in this position as a commissioner is a job of service. And so when you are called upon, you are to be of service to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Riddle.
Joe Riddle, born and raised here in Dickinson. Come off a family farm just northwest of town, 4th generation. So yeah, it's nice being in Dickinson. It's a great place. I did leave for 2 years to go to Wapton for tech school. I came back. Had lots of opportunity to stay away, but here I am. So looking forward to it. You know, reason I'm on here, I've had several people ask me to come on. It was never a thought that I had in my mind. It's just one of those that figured, well, if I get the signatures, I'll run. So I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it for the people. When I sit and look at things, that I'm one guy, but I can be a voice. And I want to be a voice for the people, not a voice for myself. So.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Iltz.
Rob Iltz. I am so thankful that you guys are doing this for us, by the way. I'm husband to Jennifer of 27 years, and I have 5 active children in the community. Many of you I've met through a lot of those opportunities from either Badlands Opera Projects or Hockey Club or Mustang Baseball. We sit in the stands together, and I've grown to love the passion and everything that happens in Dickinson. We want to be a part of that. We want to be a part of the growth, and I want to be a leader in the community, not only for my children who are here to stay, but I want to create a place where they want to come back, just like John had mentioned. We have so many opportunities here in Dickinson, and I want to be a part of that growth. I want to be a part of the bringing in new business. I want to be a part of bringing in the things that we need, that we can find a home for our kids to stay here and help build Dickinson.
You bet. I very intentionally moved back to Dickinson, wanted to be a part of a small town where it's possible to get to know everyone. We can be transparent and say, I know all of you quite well. We have a chamber board member, a chamber trick or trunk participant, the host of Chamber's Banquet in a Field, and the sponsor of the Chamber Golf Scramble defending champions.
That's right.
For you. There was also a situation a couple weeks ago where I was parked next to one of you, listening to another one of you on the radio, getting a text from the 3rd person, and the 4th person had made an in-person visit to the chamber that day. Yeah, we know each other quite well. Okay? And the second question, we start with Dean Kluver, 2 minutes, and we go clockwise from there. Okay? I think this is a good Chamber of Commerce question. With 2 minutes to respond, does city government have a role in encouraging businesses to locate in Dickinson and to expand in Dickinson? If so, what does that role look like?
Oh, absolutely. it is their role to bring in from outside the community larger job sources, especially for preservation of the community. We're seeing new infrastructure as far as harbor freight coming into play. A lot of people joke around saying, they're cheap tools that get thrown away. Well, once the children here go through the trade school and finish out, they're not going to be buying top-of-the-line products. They need to start somewhere. So something in that industry where it's able to retain them and not leave the community and allow growth for our community, I think just speaks tremendously. And John doing a wonderful job on the board with bringing those sources in. Does an amazing job. Previously, we sat on the meeting last night and listened to even more so of the new renovations and new bringing to the community and just how it's been handled beautifully. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Joe Riddle, bringing business to our community.
Yeah, we definitely need businesses coming here. I mean, as the city does grow, and as we see it, not only in the city but out in the country too, as the city's moving different directions, things of that nature, we need to have the business to keep it going. Just because schools are growing, residential's growing, but how can it continue to grow without having the business there for people to survive so that they can work, so the jobs are there? Yes, there's a lot of jobs available now, but the new growth is definitely a change that people want to see. And yeah, we need to do whatever we can to bring it here.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, most definitely. I believe that it's our role to encourage these businesses and then to help those businesses too after they get started. We have a lot of small businesses that have started and have fallen apart. We need to find a way that we can encourage those to keep going and find more employees. So now when we're looking at employees that are coming to Dickinson, how do we find a reliable workforce that we can fill these new jobs? Well, we have to look at housing. We need affordable housing for people to want to come into town and find places to live. So it's a whole circle that we look at as a city, and we can do this together. We can find ways that we can grow, but at the same time, keep that small town, feel that we have with the new businesses that we're going to encourage to come.
So I look back to 20 years ago when we built the West River Community Center. And at that time, Dickinson was not growing. Population was basically flat for about 20 years, becoming kind of a retirement community. Kids were leaving and not coming back. And that was a really bold decision to build the West River Community Center. And we have to, over the next 4 years, we have a window of opportunity here with the Presidential Library going into Medora to really capture not just the attention of those tourists that come through here, but anybody that is paying attention to Western North Dakota. We have to be ready for the potential growth. And we might have to be courageous in making that next decision, that is that next West River Community Center. Because had it not been for the West River Community Center, I don't think we grow to the significant degree that we did following and during the oil boom. Because that was such an attractive corner piece for our community to be able to sell the community. And Rob mentioned workforce. Childcare is workforce. That's another thing we have to do more to wrap our heads around. The city invests a significant amount of money into Stark Development Corporation, and they have invested a good amount of dollars in bringing childcare options to the community, because the more childcare that we have in the community, the more dual income homes that we can potentially have, because if you don't have somebody to watch your kids, somebody's got to stay home. And so that will hopefully alleviate those workforce challenges that we have. But I think the big thing that we need to do is just we have to have a growth mindset. We have to be willing to make those investments up front, because if we make them on the investments on the back end, they're going to be that much more significantly expensive. And so as a city commission, we have to have the courage to have and support those bold ideas that the community brings to us.
Okay. Thank you for your perspectives on that topic. Joe Riddle gets first opportunity at the next question with 2 minutes to respond. In a competitive hiring environment, what ideas do you have to help recruit police officers, firefighters, first responders, and other city employees to our areas of greatest need?
Oh, that's a great question. I know one of the first things that comes to mind on that, and John touched on it a little bit, but would definitely be childcare. Having the facilities around to enable the families that have the kids that need childcare someplace to go. 'Cause yeah, there's definitely a need for that in the community. I mean, other than that, I mean, the competitive salary, of course, more housing, affordable housing. I mean, what's the great thing of having housing if people can't afford it? And if somebody's coming into town, what are the chances, excuse me, what are the chances that they have the money to afford that $2,000 rent or to afford that $700,000 home or whatever the case may be? They need to have affordable living. They need to have childcare. That's going to be a big thing to help bring more people into this community to serve those areas of firefighter, police, whatever the case may be.
Mr. Iltz, recruiting city workforce.
So we look at last night, Mayor Decker sworn in some new officers, and it was amazing to see because we have people that want to step up and protect our community. They want to serve our community in that way. Our first responders are a key to making our community safe and our community whole. So how do we go after finding new ones? We have to encourage and show how much teamwork we have. I've been a part of cities before where they don't all get along with each other. But here in Dickinson, you find a community that they want to work together. Our first responders are amazing in the parts that they do, the development that they do in the community, and then the growth. We've spent money on bringing in more training. We've spent money on bringing in the equipment that they need. And so we have a great opportunity that people will want to come here. We just have to share that with them.
Okay. I think one of the biggest things is, and one of the most important roles that we have as city commissioners is hiring our department heads and putting people in positions like city administrator, deputy city administrator, our different directors that are throughout the organizational structure of the city. Make sure that we have good leadership. Make sure that we have a great fire chief, a great police chief, because they're the ones that set the culture for those different departments. And if we've got great departmental and organizational culture within the city, people are going to want to come and work here. And then the second thing is making sure that we have first-class facilities. We have a great public safety center. We're in discussions on a new fire station. What can we do to make sure that we have first-class facilities for those public defenders and our public service workers? And then, I think something that always gets lost in the shuffle is what kind of work we're doing to recruit those guys that are working behind the scenes, our public works staff, our water staff, and what can we do to make sure that we are paying a competitive wage? I mean, obviously that's a big thing. When we're competing against the oil field, we have to make sure that we're fiscally responsible so that we can maybe give those raises here and there when and where we need to. And then last but not least, we need to just continue to make sure that we have a first-class culture, not just at the city, but in our community. A welcoming culture of, wrapping our arms around these guys. Instead of throwing a shovel full of snow at somebody as they drive by on the snowplow, give them a wave. And, give them a thumbs up and a thank you when you see them. And I think our community does a phenomenal job of that. When we thank our public service workers, they appreciate that, and we just continue to build that welcoming culture in Dickinson, North Dakota.
I'm just glad we're done throwing snow in any direction for hopefully 6 months. Okay, yeah. Mr. Kluver, recruiting city workforce.
So I've spoken online about this a few times, and the difficult thing is trying to establish something like this in Dickinson is like growing a plant amongst the weeds. There's 5 different attributes: rent, wages, the weather, daycare, and things to do. You may be able to bring them along, but the next oil boom, they give out an advertisement that, hey, 401k, company vehicle, you name it, come on board. Next thing you know, you lost all your employees for the daycare. Another one closes down. You give it a week, may snow still. I wish he didn't say that because it's going to happen now. And on top of that, too, rent. If we start increasing wages, next thing you know, you got landlords without any infrastructure, without any actual assets to the property. Rack it up. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, $1,200, $750. Find a friend, split the rent. Difficult things like that. So I feel like the question like this is, it's a catch-22. Sure, we could invest in all these different ones, but once they find, from human behavior, oh, they got more money, we're going to increase rent. We covered all 3 grounds. Guess what? It's too cold. They don't like it. They're going to leave. It's just, again, a catch-22 moment on those. Thank you.
Okay. Next question goes, we begin with Mr. Iltz, 2 minutes to respond. Generally, I think there's broad-based taxpayer support for the basic services that cities provide. That's water, that's police and fire protection, that's roads, okay? I think opinions are more mixed on projects deemed quality of life projects that are put before the commission. Okay, and if you were to be commissioner, I'm certain the next quality of life project would come before you. So the question is, how will you know whether the next quality of life project that is pitched to the city commission is worthy of taxpayer funding and local government support?
We have to look at the whole picture. There's so many opportunities that will happen. Let's say quality of life comes up and it's an issue that we need to build something new or we need to have some funding go towards it. We have to look at the entire picture. Who does it benefit? Obviously, if it benefits the entire community, that's what we're after. We're looking for growth, we're looking for opportunity, we're looking for businesses to come to town. The quality of life is something that we're all seeking. And we want a good quality of life for our kids. Like what John had mentioned, this is a community that we want to have our kids grow in. And so how do we look at it? One step at a time. We have to use an evaluation process that is the same that they've been using for the West River Center and looking at what growth we did for the Baylor building and the growth that we did for the museum. We have to look at these items and say, how is this going to benefit us? Is it tourism? Possibly. Is it going to be an area that it's going to help the youth want to grow and stay here? Possibly. Either way, we have to look at the entire picture and then identify it. I think that's an important thing too, that we listen to our constituent. There's a lot of people who want to spread their voice. We listen to them and let them call in and let them talk to us, get a feel for what they want, and go from there.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily, I like the term quality life projects, but I don't necessarily like the way it's applied, because what do you classify as a quality of life project? I think the West River Community Center, that's a really easy one to say, hey, that's a quality of life project. What about the CTE Center? I think that's a quality of life project that has improved the quality of education in this community to a degree that we aren't really going to know the impact of for decades to come. We're starting to see the impact of being able to get these kids in the workforce right away, but that's a quality of life project. Bijou Activity Center, Legacy Square, the softball complex, the reinvestments in the West River Community Center that we've made in the last year. These are all quality of life projects that make life in Dickinson more attractive to not just the people that live here, but the people that are looking for a place to live. And I mean, you mentioned, maybe you got a question about this, but I think that there's a number of projects that are right around the corner here that we have to decide how are we going to prioritize it, or are these projects that we need to invest in and have that bold, courageous idea of being able to fund. The DSU Indoor Arena, our Baylor building project, that's one that flies under the radar, but it would be a quality of life project. Museum expansion, new fire station, a potential for an event center, airport expansion. What are we going to do with the armory? There are all kinds of these questions that are out there that we have to be willing to sit down with our community and talk through and prioritize. Hey, what is important to you? And I just want to really give a plug to our planning and engineering department. We are going through a comprehensive plan just like the county is right now. And there is a fantastic website out there. I shared it on my Facebook page. Please check it out. It's a great open forum for you guys to share your ideas with the city. You can drop your idea right on the map where you think it should go and share what you think that idea should be. So please give us that feedback.
Mr. Kluver, defining quality of life and knowing how to prioritize.
Just as a quick point on there, so John, on the last point where he said that as far as the quality of life and the feedback from the community, I know our most recent one was the Legacy Square. However, for the community on their own, they're unable to comment directly on the page and actually give an honest feedback as far as how the event goes. The events that I've held there, I find out that you can't even use the fire pits unless if it's warm enough, you can. If it gets too cold, which is the main purpose for them, you can't. Viewing the screen, majority of it you can't actually use. The lawn as well, they told me don't even put anything near it. Don't even let anybody look at it, because if it gets punctured, the amount of money it costs to put that little grassy knoll was just outrageous. And just to have people give more honest feedback as far as the quality of life or what they could bring to the community, that's the true transparency that we want to see. Hearing the feedback from them where they said, I would be happy with just a flat sheet of concrete straight across. Just give me something flat like that to where we all could go in, equal point of view, everything's just great. That would have cut that budget right in half right away. But it's in terms as, again, for the quality of life and what we could bring to the community, the involvement with them by far is the greatest asset. There's a lot of installed value in the community that I see that we need to look towards. Why focus on the brand new building that's going to cost us $22 million when for half the price we could fix 8? Quantity over quality. And even the quality that is served to us, I think we can all agree hasn't been met.
Thank you for your perspective on that. We go to Joe Riddle. How will you know if a quality of life project is worthy of your support and taxpayer support?
Yeah, so I would definitely have to ask the people. Just because it would be my quality of life doesn't mean it's anybody else's quality of life. So how can I sit here and say, yep, that's good for quality of life, this is, that is, this is, that is, and there might only be one other person in the whole town that's going to agree with me. So it wouldn't be 100% up to me. It would be up to everybody, the rest of the commission, Mayor Decker, the people out there. It has nothing to do with me. I could only be a voice to share what the people would want. I know we'll take the Baylor building expansion. Yeah, absolutely, that'll affect everybody. Doesn't matter who or where in this town, that will affect them. That is definitely a quality of life. The community center, I've never used it. I might have set foot in there a total of 5 times. For me, that is not a quality of life. Legacy Square, I was there once. For me, not a quality of life. Not saying it's not a quality of life for anybody else, but for me, it is not. So yes, I cannot sit up here and make my own decision as to what is a quality of life. The people would have to be involved with that. The rest of the commission, Mayor Decker, they would have to be included in that as well, because that is not something that one person can decide.
Got it. I follow you, willing to listen on that topic. We're back to Mr. Oderman getting the first opportunity at the next question for 2 minutes. We, the chamber, anticipate that North Dakotans may be voting upon an initiated measure to eliminate property taxes. Do you have a position on this issue, and how will city government and city residents be impacted if the measure were to pass?
Definitely opposed to the measure. I think it's important for people to understand what we're looking at in terms of the impacts to city services, county services, and the relationship and how that changes our relationship with the state. This would be so detrimentally impactful to not just the community, but individual citizens. We need to be aware of the fact that property tax, yeah, nobody likes paying taxes, but how are we going to come up with replacements for those funds at the city level? You're going to have to go through some attrition activities. You're going to have to cut here and there, and we're going to do our best to maintain services if that does happen. But we're going to have some really, really difficult and hard conversations about what services we will provide and how often we will provide those services, because the money just will not be there unless we do something like an additional sales tax or something like that. Because you know, obviously, like Mr. Messer said, every December, people get really upset about their property taxes. If you look at the property taxes that we pay in Dickinson, North Dakota, and compare it to other municipalities in the state, the city commission has done a phenomenal job of keeping your property taxes low. And as a matter of fact, the 4 years that I've been on the commission, the effective tax rate has gone down each year. Valuations may have gone up, but your effective tax rate that you're paying from your city share of your taxes has gone down. Is the answer getting rid of property taxes? Absolutely not. The answer is electing people like me who are going to be fiscally responsible with the dollars that our property tax owners give us.
Mr. Kluver, your perspective on the proposal to eliminate property taxes.
Well, in all honesty, I mean, I am opposed to it. And it's just the sheer fact that what happens next? We're all enticed by the idea of not having the property tax and just leaving it at that. But what happens next? What happens to the infrastructure? What happens to the sources that we need to fund medical relief and fire department, police department, all these safety measures that we have? And with that as well, the Dickinson Press, they came out with an article today as far as the assessment of what they're adjusting now. They're removing a cap for the property assessments. And something in that regard, I mean, it just brings people back to this issue where they think, well, if my home is gaining value and I have to pay more of these taxes and things in that nature, this seems like the end goal that I need. But the fact is just we don't have the next answer to it, guys. If we're able to, again, have more transparency and reach out to the community as far as what we can do and what the next step may be, I think we could reach that goal together. However, just taking at face value of what that may be, I would have to be opposed towards that.
Okay. Mr. Riddle, your perspective on the proposal to eliminate property taxes.
So I'll be brutally honest. I'm neither for it or against it right now. I have not read the bill. If I have read the bill, I probably wouldn't understand what 95% of it says. So, I mean, currently, I do not have a good answer for that one. I don't know, it's out of my comfort zone to sit up here and say that, but it's honesty. I mean, I can listen to what people say about it, but how am I going to know what it is without actually reading it or without actually getting with somebody that can explain it to me as I have it in front of me? I can't lean one way or the other on it. As far as the property tax goes, I'm 100% for fair and equal property tax. I mean, the assessment, I struggle with the way the assessment works. Just because it gets assessed higher this year, we didn't pay a higher tax, probably will next year because I got assessed higher. How about areas that are getting annexed in? You know, they might not have been, they weren't part of the city. All of a sudden they have to pay city property tax. So what's with that? I don't know that either. That is another area that I have to look at. But that would also fall under the fair and equal property tax. Our farm, we're 2 miles from town. I have to look at this because if the city continues to grow, we're right there. We are in, I believe it would be the second stage of annex. So that's going to be right out my back door. So that is something that I would work on as a commissioner to figure out how that all works and the best explanation or the best way to explain it to the people so that everybody understands what it is.
Thank you for your honesty. It's a proposal that is in the signature gathering stages, and the chamber is using its crystal ball to anticipate an issue that may be coming. Mr. Iltz, on the issue of the proposal to eliminate property taxes.
Yeah, but I share the frustration. I've heard from many and talked to many about it because as a homeowner, we want to make sure that it's fair. And as you guys mentioned also, there's a lot of things that would happen if the property tax was eliminated. There's a lot of we've been talking about our community, we've been talking about first responders, we've been talking about all these areas that we're trying to grow. Well, sometimes we have to pay for those in a certain way. Like you guys had mentioned, how do we do it if we eliminate property tax? Well, possibly we look at some of the state funding or some of the areas that the state can offer us assistance in. Maybe there's other ways that we evaluate the properties. I'd have to look into that more, just as Joe said, being not on the council yet, hopefully one day, I would like to then do more research and find out more information about it. But I can tell you as a homeowner, I understand and I hear that the frustration that is going across the board. I say that right now I feel that we need to have it because we need to supply these things to make our community grow.
You bet. Again, a bit of a crystal ball question there, a topic I'm confident will stay on the front burner and perspectives will vary, but thank you for yours. We go back to Mr. Kluver with 2 minutes, and now this is your opportunity. For each of you, this will be your last remarks. We'll go 2 minutes plus, but I'm looking for 2 minutes on a topic that has not already come up from me, but is very important to you. And then you'll get a signal if you go 2 minutes on that. But then I'm looking for your closing remarks, including maybe where a person could go to find more about your candidacy and your take in the next month ahead. Okay? What haven't we talked about that's important to you? And then closing remarks. Dean Kluver first.
I mean, I think it just comes down towards what we always dance around is just accountability. Accountability for the fact that where our money is being spent, how it's utilized. This whole night we talked about the West River Ice Center and the rec center on its own, and you could see leaks from the ceiling. You could see peeling paint in the pools. And we're talking about how proud this is, except nothing has been maintained for that property. And with that, I mean, we see roads. Last night, I saw a lot of individuals, or the constituents that came out and spoke about the roads that are being done up north and their concerns. And the fact that most of them, they just want us there. They're asking them, have you even seen it? Have you gone out and been to my property and looked at it? And the passion that the community has and just the simple remarks that they have that are going unaddressed, it's just disheartening. And just having that accountability and the ability of just transparency to reach out to these people. It's just definitely something the community needs on there. And as far as for me, the way that you can reach me as well is just directly through on Facebook. That's been my main means on there. I'm not purchasing signs. I did one. My wife told me to buy one just for this chapter of my life. If it closes, we hold on to that sign and just look back on it and smile. But I'm not purchasing signs. I'm not creating a separate page for me running for commission that only gets updated when it comes time to be in this position. I'm out there with you guys talking to you. I'm working for you. I'm there on Southside and working at the hospital now. I'm in all walks of life out here with the community. And I posted online prior to this, the fact that this table right here is a half circle, and the only way that's completed is through you, the community, coming out here. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Joe Riddle, issues important to you that haven't already come up, and then closing remarks.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues that hasn't come up yet, excuse me again, would be the safety of our children, especially through the library. I know the library expansion is being talked about and stuff, and it sounds like it's going to be a great thing, but we need it to, if it does, the expansion does happen, we need people to actually move forth and move those materials in question out of the hands of the children. It should not be up to the children to get those materials. It should be up to the parent. If the parent wants it, fine. If the child wants it, they should have to go talk to their parent. The child should not be able to go up there and look. It's no different than getting pornography from a gas station or from a store or anything of that nature. Child can't go get it. So why should they be able to grab those books and look at them? I don't want to ban books. I want to place the books. Place them where they need to be. Allow the parents to go that route. What was the second part of that?
You've got 45 seconds.
Yep.
Other topics important to you, and then how can constituents engage with your campaign in the month ahead?
Yep. So I do have a Facebook page for the next month and a half. Go on there, take a look at it, leave comments. If you leave comments on there, I'll reply to them. If they're elsewhere, chances are I won't. I'm here for you guys. I'm not here for me. It's the last thing I want to do is sit up here. I'm here for you guys because we need change up here.
Yeah, you're not hard to find. Part of that's you're about 6'10", I think.
Yeah.
So, okay. Rob Iltz, 2 minutes, issues that have not already come up, then closing remarks.
I'm not sure if it's an issue, but I'm a big supporter of the arts in our community. I'm so excited and passionate about what we're seeing with the Badlands Opera Project and with the Southwest Art Gallery. And we're seeing a growth in area that this is going to help bring people together and help grow the community, and which is what I think our main focus has been all night. We've been talking about that. So is it an issue? It's growing. I want to be a part of that continuation of growth. The other thing that I think we need to do more of is honoring our veterans. We have an amazing veteran community, and we have an amazing park. But I'd like to see us do more on some of the celebrations and some of the things that we can do to help the veterans celebrate their lives and what they've done for our community. I'd like to look into more avenues that we can, as a city, celebrate the veterans. We have so many great things, and we've talked about many of them tonight, from the Baylor building to the expansion of the airport. We need to make sure that people know that Dickinson is not a dying community. Dickinson is growing, and it is opportunity, and we can just expand that out. We have a wonderful tourism department. The Chamber, you guys do an excellent job of getting the word out. Let's continue to do that. I want to be a part of that, and if you will look this weekend, we're finalizing the Facebook page that everybody has. I'll be honest, I'm not very good at Facebook, so there may only be one photo, but it'll be there, and you can comment on. But I'm seeing many of you out in the community. I'm out in the community in a lot of different groups, and like I said, with our kids, and then I'm not hard to find. I may not be as tall as Joe, but I'm just about as handsome. So, but yeah, I'm easy to find. But I do believe that we can have opportunities where people can come and see us. I believe that the commission has been very open to coffee and things of that nature that we've gone to, and I want to continue that and make sure that the community feels ease to come talk to us.
Thank you, Mr. Iltz. On to Mr. Oderman. 2 minutes, issues that haven't already come up, and then closing remarks.
I'm going to answer the second question first. You can get a hold of me on Facebook or Instagram, and then my contact information is on the city website, but john.oderman@dickinsongov.com. If you've got anything that you want to mention to me here in the next couple weeks, or if you want to come to a city commission meeting, you can come and yell at me for a couple more weeks during the public commission comment section of the commission meeting. But something that we haven't talked about yet that is really near and dear to my heart is Commissioner Soboluk and I have had the pleasure of being able to be the advisors for the Youth Commission for the last 3 years. And being able to engage with our youth and talk to them about, hey, what are you looking for from this community in order to be willing and eager to come back when you're done with school, or you're done with trade school, or being able to just get in a job here and stay here. And that's something that is really important to me, is the concept of planting those trees under which the shade of I'll never sit in. But those kids that are building a family 30, 40 years down the line, is there a community in Dickinson, whether it be through the park district, through the city, through the school system, that we can be proud of what we built? And that's really important to me, because there were a lot of people that got us to be the community that we are today. And if I can just play a small role over the next additional 4 years, It's been an honor to do that for the last 4 years, and I just ask that people support me to do it for another 4 years, because I truly believe that we are on the cusp of some really, really great things, and we have a bright future in the city of Dickinson, North Dakota, and we need leaders that have a growth mindset, are going to be fiscally responsible, believe in the importance of quality of life projects, and are determined to build for that next generation. Thank you.
Again, we are joined this evening by 4 candidates for 2 seats on the Dickinson City Commission. Gentlemen, thank you for a great conversation this evening, one that I'm sure will continue in the month ahead. Again, thank you. And again, we'll transition with help from Alicia here to the one name that will be on the ballot for the office of mayor and the president of the Dickinson City Commission. The incumbent is Scott Decker, and we'll have him seated next. Good evening, Mayor Decker.
Good evening.
We at the Chamber have enjoyed working with you annually on the State of the City Luncheon. There are those in the audience, out in the community and beyond, who may not know you as well, but please take 2 minutes to tell us more about your background, your time in elected office, and your motivation to run for another term.
Well, thank you, Carter, and thank the Chamber for putting on this event. Like you said, 4 years ago, this was a little bit more subdued, and it didn't feel like a real forum, and I thank Consolidated for airing this for the public. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Scott Decker, born in Dickinson, educated at Dickinson State University, my undergrad. I'm a graduate of Trinity High School, went to Dickinson State College when it was still Dickinson State College, and then transitioned to Dickinson State University. Kind of needed to find my way after going to school there for 3 years, so I decided I'd join the Army. 1989, joined the Army, and I spent the next 21 years of my life in the United States Army. 10 years on active duty. The Army, in their wisdom, was going to sent me to Korea in 1995, and then I came back to the United States, and then in 1998 they decided in their wisdom they were going to send me back to Korea again, and I said I had enough of that. So I separated from the United States Army, came back here, continued my education at Dickinson State University, and by chance I was enlisted into the North Dakota Army National Guard, and was part of the Weapons of Mass Destruction team, the 81st CST out of Bismarck, and got to know a master sergeant that was in charge of the Dickinson recruiting unit at the Dickinson Armory, and he basically asked me, he said, you got 10 years active duty, don't you? And I said, yeah. He goes, you want to come back on active duty? And I said, sure. And so I came back on and spent the next 10 years as the station commander for the Dickinson unit, and ran the Dickinson recruiting, or the Southwest recruiting station for those 10 years as the commander. And at the end of that, I had a lot of people asking me, because I knew a lot of people from recruiting, they said, hey, you need to run. And a lot of people were encouraging me to run right away to be the mayor. And I said, well, I didn't come into the Army as a sergeant. I came in as a private. So I decided to run as a commissioner. And in 2012, after working in the oil field a couple of years, 2012 came, I ran in that election, and I lost. And I was like, well, where are all these people that wanted me to be the mayor? So refocused, 2014 ran, became a city commissioner. 2016, the mayor position was up for election. I ran as the mayor and got elected, and I've been in this position for 8 years. I am married. My wife, Shelley, she is a part owner of ND Pharmacy, those of you that know that. And I have 2 amazing kids, Jake, who lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and he is also a pharmacist. and he's just doing amazing things down there in Nashville. And then my daughter Elena, who is just recently became the Stark County Emergency Director. She again is just an amazing person. She spent 6 years as a firefighter, full-time firefighter for the city of Dickinson before moving to that position. And you know, I am just so blessed from all the years and all the people that I've known here from my days, even back when I was in Desert Storm, and the unending support that this community gave me when I was in the desert. And just a quick funny story about that. I used to receive so many packages from the city of Dickinson, just anonymous people that I didn't even know. And it was just like a continuous stream over there. And I had so much, and we were living out in the middle of the desert with nothing. And I was just, you know, distributing it to a lot of the soldiers that didn't get anything from back home. And it was Christmas time. And there was 26 of us living in a tent that was probably the size for about 15 people. And they do mail call. And the platoon sergeant comes in, and he's got the mail bag, and he's got a couple of boxes. And he calls off the mail, and I didn't get any letters. And he called off the boxes, and I didn't get any boxes. And the guys kind of made a joke about it. They're like, "Hey, Decker, you didn't get a box? It's Christmas. They forgot about you." And the platoon sergeant just shook his head, and he goes, "Decker, go get your mail." So he made me go down to the captain's tent and pick up the 8 boxes that were sitting there in the bundle of letters, and I carried it back myself. And when I walked through the tent flap, and they couldn't even see me because I had so many boxes. And I set them down on my cot, and I just turned around, and there was these 25 other guys just staring at me. And the one guy looks at me, and I'll leave out the expletive, but he goes, "Decker, what are you, the mayor's son?" And I said, "No." I said, "I just have the love and support of one of the greatest cities in this United States. And I have always felt indebted to Dickinson."
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. I'm an old basketball coach who's always got a clock and a buzzer in the back of my hand. We do have to limit you to about 2 minutes for each of a few remaining questions, but thank you for that. We've got to deal with concerns. No, I'm going to read from directly. Like we did with the county commission, let's take 2 minutes to discuss things that keep you up at night at the city government level. We'll get to optimism next. What keeps you up at night?
Well, if you ask my wife, nothing. I snore like a locomotive. What keeps me up at night is one of the issues that were brought up by prior candidates is the property tax measure and where that would take us as a city. I know that's looking way forward, as you said, into the crystal ball, but it's something that we have to be prepared for if it does happen. And it is troublesome because there is part of the state that wishes this to happen. They feel like Dickinson gets too much. They feel like the whole West gets too much. They think that the oil money that is generated out here needs to be better dispersed, as they've told me, to the rest of the state, which I find, you know, laughable at times because of how it is distributed. But that does keep me up at night. One of the issues right now that we are dealing with, we have an ambulance service. Everybody knows we have the Dickinson Ambulance Service. Well, the Dickinson Ambulance Service is not run by the city of Dickinson. It is a private organization. And that organization does not want to be in the city of Dickinson any longer. And they've tried to sell it, and they have no takers. So now, this duty is going to fall upon us, as a city and as a county, to take that over. And that is an additional cost to the city. And I do, it is one of the things that keeps me up at night. And I want the citizens of Dickinson to feel safe at all times, be it either through the PD, fire, or having that emergency service, that ambulance service that's readily available to them. And so that would be one of the things that keeps me wake.
There you go. And now, what makes you optimistic and hopeful for the future of the city of Dickinson and Western North Dakota?
Well, I would just say the growth and the factor that they spoke earlier with the school board candidates, the size of the classes. It means that people are putting down, they want a homestead here. They're having large families again, 4, 5, 6 kids in some cases, and that makes me hopeful. When we talk as a city commission about expanding quality of life, we do that in unison with the business opportunities that we see coming down. TC Energy and their hydrogen hub. We just had a meeting today, a leadership meeting. Carter and I were able to attend with ConocoPhillips. ConocoPhillips is looking ahead, and they see that there is still a lot of opportunity in the Bakken for them to grow, and they're not the only company. So that means for us, we have to meet the needs of that growing base of workers, and the challenge, and that it's one of the biggest challenges when you say what keeps you up at night, workforce. And workforce is a big challenge, and it is a as one of the candidates for commission said, it's multifaceted. It's just not one little thing. But my optimism, we are seeing more and more businesses look at Dickinson. We just had an out-of-state company come in and buy the mall. We just, they're going to be announcing a couple of new restaurants opening up shortly. So there's optimism there. There's people looking at Dickinson. They want to come to Dickinson, and that gives me optimism.
Thank you. We've got 2 minutes for the next topic. You've been here all evening, I believe, so is there anything else that you've heard from prior candidates and issues that are important and resonated with you? And is there anything else that has not been mentioned up to this point that is a high priority for you?
Well, starting with the school candidates and kind of going all the way through the evening is our behavioral health. I think that is a huge challenge, especially in Western North Dakota. Your mental health, your addiction, dealing with the homeless, dealing with individuals that are sometimes seen as outside of society, and how do we get them back in and make them productive members. That's, I think, one of the, just a really large challenge that we are facing as a community, because that goes back to workforce and recruiting individuals to come to the school system, to come to the hospital, to come to be an addiction counselor, to come to be behavioral health, a psychologist. All that, it works in unison. So we have to continue to make Dickinson the most attractive place for somebody to live. And we have to stop selling ourselves short because we're cold for 2 weeks, really cold. I know you're saying, hey, we're cold from November till April, but come on, it's about 2 weeks it's really miserable. And then, after that, we have to, keep promoting Dickinson for what it is. It is a great place to live and raise a family. I know that. I knew that back in 1998 when I wanted to bring my family back here, and I wanted my kids to be around my relatives and around my friends.
Okay. And a minute or less to wrap up, but make the case that the residents of the city of Dickinson should vote for you for mayor for another 4 years.
Well, I would ask for your vote for another 4 years, because there are a lot of things that we are working on as a community, working with different partners. We have such a great working relationship. I have such a great working relationship with not only our legislators, but our school officials, our Southwest Waters in the audience, our county commissioners, all the business entities. And I continue to be in the negotiations at all times and putting the city's interests up front, so that individuals know that, yes, you are welcome here, and we want you to be part of it. And we're excited to have you. I'll just put it that way. And my experience, like I said, I've had now 4 sessions or more down with the legislature, removing some COVID, and then and working with our federal delegation to get a lot of projects done. So.
And we'll end on that note. We want to thank you, Mayor Decker, for your service up to this point on the City Commission and as our mayor. And as you mentioned, you are a military veteran. Thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, Carter.
As we transition, I've got a paragraph here to accurately paint the full picture of the mayor's race this year. In 2020, Mayor Decker's opponent on the ballot was Leroy Hendrickson. In 2024, Mr. Hendrickson has declared his desire to be considered as a write-in candidate. He is in the audience this evening. I do want to acknowledge Leroy Hendrickson's presence. He introduced himself to the chamber yesterday. Our qualifier to participate in this event was the signature gathering process, but we do acknowledge the write-in option exists for the mayor's race in all local races. Leroy Hendrickson, thank you for being here this evening. And we are going to transition to two candidates for Park Board, both of whom played for me on the Dickinson Junior Varsity Volunteers Legion baseball team, and we're all grown up now. We've got Zach Keller and Tyler Tucker, Park Board candidates. Do you remember the time we swept the Beulah varsity up in Beulah when you were 15 and we beat their 18-year-olds? That was big. That was big.
Good day always.
Okay, make sure your microphones work. There we go. And again, these are two candidates for Park Board. We have Zach Keller running for re-election. You have Jo Marie Cattermas choosing not to run for another term. We do thank her for her service, the 4 years to this point. And then we have Tyler Tucker, who would be running for his first term. Two individuals for two spots on the Dickinson Park Board. Zach has the incumbent's perspective. Tyler is the newcomer. We'll always go Keller and Tucker in that order. With 1 minute to respond, please tell us a little about yourself, including your background and what motivates you to run for election to the Dickinson Park Board.
Zach Keller. I've been a lifelong resident of Dickinson. I have a wife and 3 kids in the community and have always loved being here and being a part of this community. The reason I choose to continue to run for Park Board is, I think a lot of my memories and who I am as an individual have been shaped by groups, facilities that are related to Park Board. It's been a big influence in my life. Some of my best memories have to do with the park and recreation services provided. Some of the best friends I have, I met through recreational activities. With the recognition that there are many things in our community that deserve budget dollars, resources, attention, and service, I do find this particular arena important as well, and something I can provide some expertise in. So,
very good. Tyler Tucker, who are you and why are you running for Park Board?
Awesome. My name's Tyler Tucker. I was born and raised in this community. I left for college in 2009, went to Fargo for a while. Told myself there's no chance I'm ever coming back to Dickinson. Funny story, actually, a coach that worked with Carter called me one day when I was in Fargo and offered me a job back in Dickinson, and I told him there's no way I'm moving back. I love it here in Fargo. Finally, he convinced me to do it, and I will tell you, it's one of the best decisions that I've made. I love this community. I will raise my entire family here. I am married with an 18-month-old girl. I love the direction the city's going. I think just some of the things the city's brought in has been really exciting. And big reasons why I'm running for the Park Board, I'm just going to reiterate off of what Zach said, is a lot of my lifelong friends were formed in the parks, whether it was playing baseball, whether it was playing tennis, whether it was just being out in the community. I remember the day the community center opened and running there as a little kid and spending all my time there. So just being able to hopefully continue that growth moving forward would be cool for me and why I'm running.
Yeah. Are you a firefighter? Do I have that right?
Yes, I am. I do work full-time as a fire inspector for the city of Dickinson.
So you're a firefighter and you're clean shaven. Is that allowed in the department?
I did lose my mustache. Yes,
Okay.
I had to go going for a long time, but it was time for it to be gone.
I had to get you on record on that. Okay.
It'll come back in November.
Good. Let's see here. In a minute or two, tell us more about your greatest areas of strength and then how they align with the needs of the Park District as you see them at this time.
Sure. I think communication between groups and collaboration between groups is something I care a great deal about and provide some expertise in, or at least an increased focus and energy towards the communication and collaboration. In my opinion, you know, we have facilities like the community center that are huge for our community, but our greatest asset as a Park and Rec department is our people at Park and Rec. We have an outstanding staff that cares deeply about the community and takes pride in the work they put together and increasing the quality of life of our community. And I think communicating with that group and collaborating with other local leadership groups and the general population is where I like to focus my attention.
Good. Mr. Tucker, your strengths and then how they align with the needs of the Park District.
Definitely. I would definitely say my strength is, along with Zach's, is clear and concise communication. You mentioned where I work. I wasn't really going to bring it up, but I will talk about it now. In the fire service, communication is probably one of our most important aspects. If you can't be a clear communicator, that's when things go wrong. So I really pride myself in being a clear and concise communicator and being very direct with things instead of having to go around the bush with things. Just go right at the problem and try to find a solution for it. In saying that, again, I feel like I'm just repeating Zach, but collaboration in the community is huge. I've spent time on the DSU Booster Club board in multiple different areas around the community. My wife serves on the Bakken Barbecue Committee. I just like being involved in the community in any way, shape, or form that I can, and bringing in not just my point of views, but any point of view that is brought up to me.
Thank you for that. Next question is a crystal ball question. You're running for a 4-year term, so let's look at it from that perspective. Tell us about major challenges that you foresee for the Dickinson Parks and Recreation in the next 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's pretty consistent with what's been discussed tonight, but my biggest concern that I've shared in the park board so far, that I've shared with Benjamin, our director, is the workforce as well. You know, we have great facilities at our disposal that we cannot fully utilize without a staff to take care of them and operate them. And we are seeing the same challenges that many local businesses are seeing, attracting and retaining employees. And you know, obviously we have a great fiscal responsibility to the community that we want to uphold. But also I do think we need to manage our resources appropriately and dedicate the funds necessary to attract and retain those individuals. I think that will be the biggest challenge for us over the next 4 years. Looking forward, so.
Okay. Tyler, challenges the next 4 years.
Yeah, I have two different challenges that I was going to talk about tonight. One was the workforce. The second one, which is briefly mentioned by previous candidate or other people tonight, is the infrastructure. I think infrastructure going forward is always going to be a problem. A really cool thing that we have going this year is it's our 20th anniversary of the West River Community Center, which is an awesome achievement. I've just experienced some awesome things at the community center and seeing how it is today compared to what it was when I was a kid. But with that comes, with all the people coming in, comes the abuse to the facility. And so maintaining the critical infrastructures so that that building continues to grow and continues to be a staple for this city. I think there's a lot of growth potential that could be coming with that, with the excess people coming with the presidential library. I think that this could almost be a stop or a stepping stone on their way out to Medora. So just maintaining that infrastructure is a staple for this community.
Yeah, you're getting ready to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the West River Community Center. It'll land on a Saturday, and on that same day will be Touch a Truck at the West River Ice Center. So I've heard Benjamin Ray say, get there early if you want a parking spot on that day. A lot going on over there on the west side of town. And another thing Benjamin Ray has said, I've heard him say, is that public input at your park board meetings is relatively light. Mm-hmm. Your work mostly flies under the radar, I think, is the perspective that I have. But where are areas where you might like to see more public input, issues where you would like to hear more from your constituents?
Yeah. Recently, I believe it was just last summer, we ran the survey for the community, which we got a tremendous response on. I was truly impressed with the amount of people that took the time to respond, both to the multiple choice answers and given their comments, and that gave us a lot of good focus for the board of issues that were common for a lot of individuals that took the time. So that was a great tool for us, and it's shaping our decisions. It's shaping the master plan that the staff is working on. So I consider that a success and commend the staff for the work they put into that, both putting it out there and then compiling the responses. I would like to see more people at the park board meetings, because I do feel like one of the other issues that faces park and recreation is everyone's got a special interest. I did too before I was on park board, and I probably still have special interests, things that I'm going to gravitate to. But I think coming to those meetings, understanding everything in our purview, understanding all the things we're dedicating resources to, gives you a greater perspective of the balance we're trying to create, the community we're trying to serve as a whole, and balancing that to say, we can't just talk about the golf course all the time and focus on all the issues there. We can't just focus on certain user groups. We need to dedicate our time and our perspective on a large number of issues. And I think I needed that perspective, and I think that perspective is good for everyone. So I would encourage people to attend a meeting and just to broaden their scope of understanding as to what we're working on. Yeah.
Okay. Tyler, again, question to you.
Coming from the outside in, it's kind of hard for me to answer that, mostly because I haven't sat on this side of the table at a parks meeting before to get public input. But where I want to kind of place myself is to know that I'm very approachable. I'm very open to listening to suggestions from the community. I myself am excited for the opportunity, but without public input, it can make jobs really challenging. So anytime any public needs to communicate anything with us, show up to a meeting, talk with us outside of a meeting if you're not comfortable with that. One thing I will do, as I mentioned earlier, is communicate that to the people who need to hear it. So if there are concerns, bring them forward, whether it's in a meeting or a private setting. I think both are acceptable.
And again, I purposely, to our audience, ended with the question, looking for opportunities to give more input to the folks who've put themselves forward, willing to be elected. I want to thank you for being a good audience this evening. We know we've got a live audience and a recorded opportunity to watch as well. In many ways, this event was meant to be a conversation starter. We can't tie a neat bow on everything, but we did have every candidate, again, who got the call from the chamber, came here today in person to be part of our event. We're very grateful for that. We're grateful again for you for being a good audience. We told Trace and Steph that we might go as long as 8:30. We're going to wrap up just a little early here. So again, thank you. Have a good evening and have good conversations moving forward.